getting scientific with these Mercurys now. With the original raised section that I didn't seem to be able to get right, with that gone, I can plant a ruler straight down and line it up against the bit of that central V shape that's actually there, and then plot the trajectory of the of the central V shape as it goes towards the scuttle and the windscreen, and do that down both sides to get an absolutely perfect sort of representation, but obviously only a 2D representation of what that central V shape will be like. And that's it, it's done, it's ready for the Hot Wheels track. I'm just going to draw it on instead. No, I need some plastic, and where I'm going to get this plastic is not from I'm not going to start cannibalising brand new cars. No, I've just opened this one to get its blister pack. There's not really a lot I can do with this. Matchbox have done a pretty good job. The only thing I will do, I'll do it a little favour, seeing as I've woken it from its slumber and pinched its blister, which I was always going to open it anyway, to be honest. But we'll just do that little grill trick like we did with the Mercury Cyclone a bit ago. We'll catch up with that on the next episode, but that's that anyway. So I've got the plastic that I need for this. So I'm just measuring it now on either side. It's 1.1 centimetres from the point of the V that I've drawn out. It's 1.1 centimetres on both sides, so that looks like we've got it straight and central. It's I can only assume it's the correct angle because I did hold the ruler right up next to the bit of it that you get at the start, and the angle's already starting to form there, so I think we're pretty safe. So I'm now drawing out the same pattern onto a section of plastic that I cut from the blister. So that's basically what we're going to be using, and I'm just marking the ends of it, and I'll probably cut it a little bit shorter from both ends so that it ends nicely before the end of the bonnet, so that it ends before it gets to the scuttle, and also at the other end just falls very, very slightly short of the bit of the V-shaped feature that's already there, because that's better than being too long. So that fits nicely. So I've been sanding down the gold one. It doesn't look too bad, but I'm just going to try it on the gold one. It does seem to line up with what's there, actually. So what I've done with the gold one might actually have a chance, but it'll be getting this. If this works, at least we know that that's the worst that we're going to have to do with the gold one as well. So I'm just making sure it lines up perfectly now. It's been stuck down. Now, appearances again are slightly deceptive. It might not look like it's lining up properly, but it is. If you see it in the light, if you see the actual clear bit of plastic in the light, you can tell it does line up properly. And then there's another bit of, I'm building it up slightly. I've cut an even shorter section based on the same. I mean, you can see where I've been drawing around it and sort of taking back rubbings of the original piece of plastic that I cut out, just in case I lose it. And I know I'm going to have to probably make at least one more for the other one anyway, but if you can see now, that central feature does run down the front quite nicely. So hopefully we're getting somewhere now. I should have done this right from the start. It's a stupid idea, expecting to be able to just conjure it completely up out of modelling clay, something like that. But now that feature's actually there in hard plastic, I won't keep sanding it away to nothing every time I try and finesse it up a little bit. I should be able to just finesse that quite nicely and just finish it off with putty and clay. Now, what's happening with the Nova here, this is masking tape. I'm applying a very thin, well, I mean, it's less than 1mm wide masking tape, and I'm applying that to it. But unlike as is usually the case with masking tape, this time it's going to be permanent because I'm actually going to have that there as a stripe. The kind of pinstripe, the kind of bright insert that you often used to get on the bumpers of 80s cars. I've applied it just below the ridge of the bumpers and the rubbing strip that goes around the middle of the car. And now I'm sealing it in with some of this crystal clear glue micro scale. So, I mean, it looks pretty stupid at the minute, but it does dry completely clear and you'll be able to see the stripe and the bodywork through it. So don't worry about that. I mean, obviously, masking tape is easy enough to apply. You literally just stick it on and then that just kind of cements it into place. So while that's going off, we'll get onto some of the windscreen trim window trim, because this is going off in a bit of a direction of, I won't say it's going to be a scale model as such, but it's getting dangerously close to scale model territory. It's based on a suggestion from one of my subscribers, whose name I will put up here to give him his full credit for the fact that the Nova's now going in this direction. And he mentioned something about Novas looking really good when they were silver with a grey lower half and orange highlights. Yeah, I instantly agreed about the fact that they do look good when certainly when the two-tone, and silver and grey is a good combination. I don't know if I have ever actually seen one that's got orange highlights as such, but it sounds good. So I thought it'd be a nice thing to bring to life. When he said it like that, I just thought that actually sounds perfect. So I'll just do that, and then I was wondering how I was really going to do the orange highlights, but then I noticed that I've got some extremely thin masking tape, and I thought, well, won't they just be orange highlights? And so far it's looking like they are. So if we're going to go to that kind of trouble of putting bumper inserts on a car of this kind of scale, which is not something that I do usually, then we better do the window trim as well and get all that blacked in like it should be. Now, the trick with this is to go very slow and careful. I went through a period of using Posca pens for doing this, but a lot of the time it's more trouble than it's worth, because especially the nature of Posca pens, it's excellent for small areas and tidying up small areas. But if you do this is a fairly large area really, and if you do that with a Posca pen, you will often find that when you lacquer it, it could run, or it can smudge, or it can just get a little bit wider than it was meant to be. So I'm using just Tamiya Black. It's a nice stable paint, and it's quite easy to apply just using a cocktail stick. That little bit around the door mirror, that's quite tricky. And what I'm doing there, I'm just using the end of a scalpel blade just to get that last little bit in, so that I get the trim done right to the corner. Don't go over the mirror, because I want the mirror to be body colour, because on a decent model of this car it would have been body coloured. But I do want that black to be in between the body coloured mirror and the pillar, the A pillar, which is obviously body coloured because it's part of the body. So that's the best way to do it, just to get round it like that, and then just make sure you black in that little bit in between the bottom of the pillar and the mirror itself, because the mirror covers on cars with body coloured mirrors, they're always segregated by black plastic trim. So you'll always get just the black plastic trim going all the way around, and the body coloured mirror will be on an 80s hatchback, sort of isolated. So I'm just getting those last few bits done with the tip of a scalpel blade, because that's the easiest way to do it without getting it too much on, because it'd be so easy to make a mistake at that point. And again, for the rear corner, I mean, it's actually the right shape. Just get a little bit of black on the edge of the scalpel blade and just put it into the kind of triangular corner of the back window, and it should just nicely get it all. Because otherwise, if you try using even the cocktail stick, would be a little bit risky on an area like that. You'd be almost guaranteed to colour outside the lines, which it's not the end of the world if you do colour outside the lines, because there's always, at some point, you're bound to get some black paint when you're doing this where you didn't want it to be. But if you look at what I'm doing there, that's just the wooden cocktail stick, the blunt end of it, because it's more of a skewer than a cocktail stick. The blunt end of it, just dab it in some water, and it will just lift off the paint quite nicely. As long as you don't want to do it when it's wet, but you don't want to do it when it's completely dry. You want to do it when it's just going off. What I did there with the rubbing strip, I went over it again. I laid another one on top of it, because the one that was applied with the crystal clear glue, it had dulled it a little bit and discoloured it, which is okay, but I want it to be orange rather than like this really dark, almost black thing. So just put another one on top. The adhesive from the masking tape and the fact that it's still tacky from the crystal clear glue, that combination will make sure that the second stripe that you put on top will hold, and obviously it's going to be a lot more bright because it's not got glue dampening it. But the most important thing about doing the window surrounds, it's going to be quite a boring and obvious thing to say, but patience, just take your time. You don't need to do it all at once. You can do one window, and if you've done one window right, you can come away for a bit, because it's quite mentally taxing. It's quite a high concentration thing. It's quite fatiguing if you try and do it too long. I seriously doubt there can be many people's personal circumstances that will mean that something like this has to be done by a certain time or against the clock. So there's more work yet to do on this black plastic trim and the orange trim at the bottom as well. I mean, I need to make the little cuts to make it look like the door would open, for one thing. And then there's the Mercury with its new feature that really needs to be sanded down a lot, but at least it should be easier to sand down now it's plastic. Thanks for watching. See you next time.